So, Matt, very nice to talk to you today.
Nice to talk to you
Um,
too, Anne.
the reason why I wanted to interview you is because you have created Bellissimo Liverpool in March this year.
I did,
Um,
yes.
I wanted you to tell me a bit more about what you do, your company, what Bellissimo means to you.
Mhm.
So please introduce yourself.
Right, my name is Matt Martin. I am the founder and director of Bellissimo Liverpool Academy of Music and Voice. It started out in March this year, 2014, in my living room, as it does for a lot of music teachers, whether it be piano, voice, oboe, flute, cello. And it went from there. I always wanted to have a music school, or at least to have a studio. And my 5 year goal was to have city centre premises in Liverpool for work. I achieved that in 3 months. I moved to the city centre. I have an office on Old Hall Street, which is right in the city centre. And it started as Bellissimo Liverpool Vocal Studio. So it was just singing lessons. Thanks partly, mainly, I think, actually, thanks to 10 to 8 and also Google SEO, which I'll talk about a little bit later. I got fully booked very, very quickly. So I made the decision to take on two more teachers. They're both singing teachers. I also teach elocution, and we have Kendall who teaches violin, Abby who teaches cello. We do GCSE and A-level music, elocution, music theory, and we have two choirs as well as offering one-to-one lessons in classical singing, musical theatre, and contemporary music as well. So that is what Bellissimo Liverpool does.
And you did all that in 3 months.
I did all that in 3 months, yes. I did
Oh,
that,
well,
ate and
passion.
slept, and that was it.
Yes. But it's your passion.
It is, definitely,
So you
yes.
always wanted to do it. And tell me, at the beginning, you said, okay, so thank you very much. You said it's a lot thanks to 10 to 8, and we'll get back to this. But so before you started using 10 to 8, I guess, how did you find out about us and why? What made you think maybe I should be doing this?
Excuse me. I found it on one of the Facebook ads. So as I was going through my news feed, I used to use, and I still do a little bit, but especially in the very beginning, I relied on Facebook for advertising and getting new clients, if you like. Um, so I came across it on the news feed, 10 to 8, really useful for music teachers. And so I clicked on it and I had a look. I got the 1 month free trial. And at the time, I only had 3 students. I'd not long moved to the office, um, but it was building very, very quickly. I was using a paper diary, so I was scribbling things out. The diary was very small because I started in the middle of the year. I couldn't get a big page a day diary, so it was scribblings everywhere. And if there were cancellations or rebookings, it was just a bit of a mess. So I started to use 10 to 8 so that I could see, I can look at a month, I can look at a week, I can look at the day, I can change lessons and I can rebook lessons really, really easily. So it's very, very helpful. And I think one of the main things is that it gave me time to focus on other things because managing my diary is I'm only half joking when I say managing my diary is a full-time job because it does take a lot of time, but having 10 to 8 really makes that a lot easier.
Okay, so you started using it and you didn't think, oh my God, I've only got 3 students. Should I really be spending money on a diary system?
Yeah, I mean, I think perhaps I had a little bit more than 3 when I decided to use 10 to 8. I think if I'd had 3, I would have waited a little while. Um, I think it was about 2 or 3 months ago I started using 10 to 8. And since then I have filled up completely. Um, so Sorry, and what was the question? I tend to, you know by now, I tend to go off on big tangents.
No, that's fine. I don't mind at all because it's yeah. I just wanted to because so many people when they come to see me, they they started their business and they tell me, oh, but I don't think I'm busy enough to justify that. And I think you made the jump, so I'm interested in knowing what your experience was because I can only tell them others who use the system they get busier,
Mhm.
but I I wanted to know what you think about this, what impact it had on you. So you said it saves you time. That's great.
Of course. One of the other big things is the professionalism. That's really important to me. So the feature that allows me to send, well, it doesn't allow me, it sends automatically. So 10 to 8 will send a text message at the time of my choosing. So whether it's 3 hours before a lesson or a day before a lesson, that will send an email or a text message. I use the text service to my clients to remind them that they have an appointment at Bellissimo Liverpool with Matt Martin at 2:30 on Wednesday, for example. So it eliminates no-shows as well, and it saves money. You know, if you're, I think a lot of the businesses that use 10 to 8 are people that have appointments. So dentists, perhaps doctors, psychologists, music teachers. So it saves money on and time on appointment cards, and it adds to that professionalism. You know, getting a text saying you have an appointment just adds to that perception of the business.
When you say the professionalism, why do you think it matters, especially for music teachers?
I mean, if we look at perhaps some other businesses that might use 10 to 8, say, for example, a dentist, a doctors, or a psychologist, they're just three that I picked out of the air. You wouldn't see any of those people in their living room. They have to have an air of professionalism about them. So I think it's sort of I think it's just important, in any business. But the seeing a music teacher and it being a casual arrangement, which is absolutely fine. That's how I started. How a lot of music teachers work. Some music teachers are teaching schools perhaps, and then will teach privately after school. With me, it's my full-time job. It is a business, so it needs to be portrayed as a business. Um, so the website using 10 to 8, having the studio, that all contributes to the professional opinion that people have, and the perception that people have of the business.
That's really good. That's really so. Yeah, that's really interesting. And so you were telling me about having set up in pretty quickly, filling up with the students, and then you were talking about your SEO and Google. Can you just tell
Yes,
me a little bit more? I mean, a
right.
lot of
We
people I talk to, they're quite scared in this area. They know they need to be present on the web, and 10 to 8 helps with their online booking, but they're also a bit scared of technology. They might not be. So I'd just like to know what you did in this area.
Right. That's one of the big things, the big transitions really, from working from home with three clients to having a city centre business that's now a music school, with lots and lots of clients and a big turnover. Now, I think there's two types of businesses. There are businesses that market a product, for example, so you can see them trying to sell the product to people. People will buy that product once, and then they have it. Um, with people who are selling a service, a lot of the time you can't approach people. I mean, you can, but I find it doesn't work as well and say, look, here's some singing lessons, here's piano lessons. With anything in the arts, if people want it, they will come and look for it. The first place that they go is Google. So when I first started, I put myself on a lot of free directories. So we've got Yell, we've got Hot Frog, Yellow Pages, NetMums, and various other free directories. But I think there's a very low percentage of people that would use those as opposed to using Google. So what I did was I wanted a website because, again, that adds to the professional image of me at the time, but now the business, that explained a little bit about how I work, because lots of teachers work in different ways. And to sell me and my services to people. One of the most important things for me in getting the clients is if they type in singing lessons Liverpool to Google, I realized very quickly that I needed to be number one, because if I am looking for anything on Google, I will look at the first page, perhaps the second page, but 9 times out of 10 I find what I'm looking for on the first page. So I needed to be at the top of page 1. So it was a risk. Moving to the office was the risk. Starting to use 1028 was a risk. Creating the website, everything was a risk. But creative people tend to like to take risks. I certainly do, and it has gone in my favour. So I paid just under £1,000 to a digital marketing expert who deals with search engine optimization, and he did all of his wonderful technological HTML things that I don't understand, and it got to number 1. So that adds to the professionalism as well, because people tend to think if you have a good ranking on Google, you are good. And it's really brought in a lot of traffic. I think 90% of my clientele have come from a Google search, and the other 10% have come from via word of mouth from students. So that is one of the most important things, really, for allowing people to find you.
So you made it easy for people to find you on the internet. Mm-hmm. Then you built a website that made it easy for them to contact you.
Yes.
Then you saved yourself time with making sure they're booked and that there's no misunderstanding between you and them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you made sure once they've been booked, they get reminded of when they need to come. Yes. And then you just started, so you start building, you get a few new people, and every one of them you make sure you then convert into a long-lasting customer.
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
I think most of my clients come on a weekly basis, usually at the same time each week. But then I do have some clients who work shifts, for example. So I will advise them, or they will ask me if there are any cancellations that week, and they will usually fill those cancellations.
Okay, that's useful. And also, so you said you were, when I spoke to you before, you were mentioning that you help some students get through to get exams, and you like to be able to offer them some special added extra time in case.
Yeah, well, I like to. I mean, there's different types of clients. As I said to you, there are some who are very casual, and perhaps they are wanting to record a song to play at their wedding. That's very popular. Or wanting to sing at their wedding to their partner. They've never done it before. There are some people who are professional singers and they have issues with their voice, so they need it refining. So, for example, they're having difficulty hitting top notes. Maybe they get a crack, or it's not as strong as it could be. That's just one example. My exam students, they are people who want to progress and want to get recognition. I think particularly with young people and children, it's nice for them to have something to work towards, and especially if they want to do it as a career perhaps, or to teach, they will need those qualifications. So I offer, I prepare the students and enter them for exams in classical singing. I use the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music for that. I use London College of Music for musical theatre, and I use Trinity College London for pop. And I teach up to grade 8, which is sort of the highest, if you like, of the grades in all of those areas. So it's important that because they're working towards exams, that they have their hour each week. So I book them in for the same time each week, and they're guaranteed that time.
Okay, and if you get any cancellations, you squeeze them in for that extra little bit before the
Yeah.
exam.
Yeah, I mean, that's up to them. Most of them are quite happy to come weekly, and then occasionally we'll have a session directly before the exam to warm them up, make sure that they're okay and they know what they're doing, which most of the time they do. It's just sort of to help with nerves, etc., and any questions they might have, especially if it's their first exam. But the cancellations normally will go to the clients who work shifts, and they like to fill those.
Okay, so you moved from your living room to central Liverpool with a nice website,
Yeah.
2 employees,
Mhm.
and a full music school from March till how many months is this? We're in December, so that's
April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So 9 months.
okay. So it can be done.
Absolutely. Yes. It does take a lot of dedication. I mean, I live alone. I don't have any children or any dependents apart from 3 cats. Um, so it has literally been work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep. But it has definitely paid off. I think for music teachers who want to go from teaching casually to it being a full-time job, and perhaps a music school, I think it's important to be sort of, I'd say 30% music teacher and 70% businessman. So a lot of networking, learning about building businesses, etc. A bit of accounting helps in the early stages when you don't have much to do and you can't afford an accountant. So, yeah, I think it's important to view it as a business as opposed to solely teaching.
So for other music teachers, and what's your next 5-year plan then?
Well, I mean, my 5-year goal, 9 months, well, not even that, 6 months ago was to have city centre premises. So my new 5-year goal after that was to have a music school. So I suppose my 5-year goal now is to perhaps think about maybe a franchise, or some kind of expansion. So we could have maybe Bellissimo Manchester, Bellissimo London, um, Bellissimo Caribbean would be lovely as well. Because I think it's been so successful so very very quickly, and I've not used sort of any set model, if you like. I've done everything my own way, so I think it could definitely be done again, and it would be nice to work with other people to set that up in other places. I did definitely something, because I'm one of those people, I can't stand still. I have to have something to work towards constantly. The other possibility is a music shop as well, um, possibly in the same premises, that would sell the likes of sheet music, pianos, etc. But there are a few of those in Liverpool, whereas there aren't. Well, to be honest, there isn't a music school in the city centre. There are universities, but there isn't, apart from Bellissimo, there is no one place where you can go for violin lessons, cello lessons, um, piano lessons, etc. It tends to be mainly performing arts schools, where they have drama, dance, and singing, but the level of singing there is slightly different. Um, so, yeah, it's quite exciting to be the only sort of pre-university, um, non-government school, really.
Okay, and in terms of elocution, do you work a lot with companies as well?
Not so much with companies, more with individuals.
Okay,
So I've worked with, again, people come for different reasons. I don't offer a set course. So what we will do with the elocution, we have a consultation, where we talk about their sort of their goals, if you like. I will get them to read a passage, and we'll look at problem vowels and consonants. So sometimes we have people who aren't from England who have difficulty being understood, by native English people. They like to make their accent a little bit more clear. Perhaps they speak too quickly. That's one of the things. So we have that. I had one of my clients was the solicitor, and she had a very strong Scouse accent, and she wanted to take that down a little bit because I think, and she thought, and everybody thinks, if you're in court and you have this really thick Scouse accent, it doesn't look too wonderful. I think a lot of people judge people on their accent and the way they speak, and what they wear, etc. Then public speakers as well. So perhaps business people who are doing seminars, etc. They need to be a little bit more lively and hold an audience for a long time. So we would look at what's the word I'm looking for? The melody, if you like, and the intonation of the voice and the clarity to keep the audience interested and to be nice and clear and professional.
Good. So maybe that's another way you could go. Just do online elocution.
I could do. I mean, certainly in Liverpool, Bellissimo is the only place that offers elocution lessons. It tends to be quite popular because I think the further north you go in the UK, the stronger accents get. So we've got Glasgow is one of the strongest. Liverpool is very, very strong. I don't have a strong Scouse accent. But if you listen to somebody who does, it can be very hard to understand. I've lived in Liverpool for most of my life, and occasionally I will meet people, and I think, where are they from? And then I think, oh yeah, they're from Liverpool. They are speaking English. Some people from Ireland speak very, very quickly. So yeah, around this area, it's the only place that people can have elocution lessons. I would perhaps like to extend that to online lessons. I know there's another singing school in Liverpool that do lessons via Skype, so people anywhere in the world can connect with them. That is a possibility, for the elocution lessons, which I tend to do daytime. Yeah, there's lots of opportunities really.
That's good. That's good to know that. Well, 10 to 8 helped you part of the way to get there. I'm really glad that we did. Thank you. I think what you're saying makes it sound like it was hard work. It's not, oh yeah, it was, I'm living my passion, so everything it's like a holiday every day. And I think that's good to make that clear to people, but it's also very good to see that it does work and you didn't do anything particularly that means, oh yeah, I could have never thought of this, or it's so risky that I could have never done that either. So that's I think that would be really useful for other people to know, and I'm thank you very much for sharing this.
No problem.
Apart from the tips that you've already given, is there any other things that you would want to offer to people who may be thinking, should I use 10 to 8, shouldn't I?
Well, I was very much undecided at first, and when I did the 1 month free trial, there's no obligation there, so it gave me a chance to have a look around, see if it would suit me, before I made the choice to actually use 10 to 8. After that, I think it's £15 a month. You'll know more about that than me. For a solo account, so for one person, so if you are a music teacher, if you're a sole trader, any type of sole trader, £15 a month, I think it's really worth it because it's just a couple of clicks, and you can change the colours. So for example, I have half an hour lessons, 30-minute lessons in purple, and I have 1 hour lessons in blue, so I can instantly tell the difference. If I have a cancellation and it's temporarily available, I'll have that in yellow, and I can also write notes on it, so I can say temporarily available, usually Maria, usually Alyssa, usually John, so that I can see who's normally there for the next week. There's a lot of features. There's the text message feature and the email feature that I mentioned earlier. So yeah, I would say try it. If you don't like it and it isn't for you, you don't have any obligation to use it. But it does save time. It does add to the professionalism. And one thing that's very useful for me is I've just taken the Solo Plus or the Duo account. So it's £25 a month, and I can have my other member of staff on there. I can make and amend bookings for her. I have another member of staff starting at the end of January, so then I can go up to the further tier, which is I think £50 a month.
Yep.
So I can have up to 8 members of staff then. So it's really good value for money, especially if there's more than one person. I think it sort of minimises the amount of communication needed between members of staff. So they could alter their availability, for example. So I know that when they're available, because I tend to be in every day, so I might not see them. I can take a booking for them, see when they're available, book it in, and say, oh, by the way, you have this client on this day, or they can just log in and see it instantly. So there's no need to be calling and texting and emailing all the time, which is great.
And you didn't, in your studio, you don't yet have Wi-Fi, is that right?
I don't have Wi-Fi. I have internet, which sort of connects to the laptop with a lead.
Okay.
I don't know what you call it, but it's broadband,
Yeah, fine.
wired broadband. No Wi-Fi at the moment, but that's being installed next Tuesday. With
wow.
a new phone line, so that it's easier to manage, because then I can my phone will be a lot quicker, and I can use my iPad for various things. It'll just make life a little bit easier.
Yeah, but when you started, you just had your phone and your iPad.
Yeah, I mean, I was using 10to 8 on the laptop when I was in work, but the thing that is really that makes it much easier for me is when I leave the office, I can look at 10to 8 the next day, or on the bus or whatever. Say I get an inquiry and it's when I'm on the way back from work, I can book them in on my phone. So even though I'm not in the office and I haven't got the laptop, I can do it there and then. If I get an inquiry or anything, if somebody needs to know my availability for some reason, or if I need a dentist appointment or something, I can open 10to 8 on my mobile phone, look at what the times that I'm available and the times that I'm not available, and fit things in that way. The other thing that is great is that because it's not a paper diary, if I was using a paper diary and I lost it, which can happen, then that would just be a nightmare, because I would, I'd lost everything. 10to 8, if I lost my phone, then I'd be able to get it on my laptop, on my iPad. If I lost my, if my laptop stopped working, I'd still be able to get it on the phone or the iPad. So, it's that backup, if you like, which comes in very handy as well.
Thank you. That's really good. I've already asked you for a lot, but there's one last question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
If I could see that what you offer could be of interest to other 10to 8 users in the community. They might be getting married and wanting to learn a song. They might be thinking, well, actually, to be more professional, I might need to take some elocution lessons. I don't know. They might need singing lessons for their children. If they're a 10to 8 user, would you be able to give them something special?
At the moment, singing lessons and violin, etc., are in Liverpool city centre. So if they were in the local vicinity and able to travel, certainly we could do perhaps 10% off a block booking. At the moment, there are no opportunities for any online lessons. I think it's with time as well. I'm pretty much fully booked now. So if we look at doing Skype lessons, particularly in the summer holidays, when the schools are off, that was quiet this year, so I anticipate that will be quiet next year. There is a possibility of doing Skype lessons, and if it was something that people were interested in, then that's certainly something that could be looked into.
Okay, very good. Right, well, I think that's all the questions I had for you today, unless you have anything you want to know from me.
Um, there's just one little extension to one of the questions that you asked me before when you were asking about 10 to 8 and the advice that I would give potential users. Um,
Yep.
I think for anybody who might be a little bit sort of technophobic, who might think, oh no, I'd rather use a paper diary because I know where I am with it and I don't have to use technology. First of all, 10 to 8 is very easy to use once it is set up. But secondly, the team at 10 to 8, so Matt, for example, who I've spoken to, one of your colleagues, I have found really helpful. So, they don't view you as a burden if you call up to say, hi, it's Matt from Bellissimo. I'm having a little bit of trouble updating my account, or I'm having a little bit of trouble adding my new member of staff. Can you help me? It's always yes, absolutely. So the staff at 10 to 8 are more than happy to help their customers, which I think is very important in any business. And I get the impression that every customer, certainly myself, every customer of 10 to 8 is very much valued, which is lovely. So for any technophobes who would be wary about using 10 to 8 because it is technology, there is help there for that.
And we've even managed to master the technology of interviewing online, which
Yes,
I'm really pleased
absolutely.
about.
Yes, very good. That's new to me as well, actually.
Well, that's just I've never done it, so it was new to me. So I'm
Excellent.
really happy, and I hope that will be useful to other users of 10 to 8. That's what we're really trying to do, is make sure that you can all learn from each other's experience. And I'm glad you're the first to try it with me. And thank you very much for this.
Excellent.
And yeah, I'll be live on our YouTube channel, and we'll put links back to your website so that hopefully it'll help with your SEO as well.
That's wonderful. Thank you very much, Anne.
Okay, thanks, Matt, and
Okay,
looking forward to talking to you soon.
I look forward to talking to you. Thanks again.
Bye.
Bye.